So I'm going to talk today about NPCs, non-player characters. So in video games, non-player characters, the NPCs, they are the background characters, and Dolores Cannon actually called these sort of characters in our daily life background characters. So what do I mean then? What do you mean by background characters, NPC, Gillian? Well, it's my comprehension that there are a proportion of society that have been born into this realm with only a tiny fractile of soul consciousness intact in their vessel. And I think that the amount of people fully integrated, their souls fully integrated into their soul, the pure, organic, soul-filled man and woman, I think there is a lot less of them than you would ever imagine, and a lot more proportion of non-player characters. Now, I'm not going to get het up. I've seen online debates over numbers and percentages. I think if we get stuck on numbers, then we kind of lose the overall view on it. So I'm just going to talk about the overall view on it. So this already points to the fact that our reality is not what we are led to believe it is. You know, the very concept of there being some characters around us that haven't got a fully integrated soul, and the very concept that there's some characters around us that have been specifically programmed to carry out certain tasks and model certain behaviours, that already starts to make us look at life in a different point of view. So I would say, if we consider in the NPC debate, let's start on from that point of view rather than get ravelled up in numbers. So if we're already at the comprehension that things aren't adding up, life isn't always as we seem, why on earth and how on earth would there be people living amongst us that have not got a full complement of their soul integrated in their being? Now, excuse me, the last 4 years has given rise for us to really separate out and start being an observer to what's going on around us. You know, many people stayed in the rat race with the head down, and many people have woken up in this last 4 years, haven't they? Now, why would a system want there to be a whole host of beings that are programmed? Well, let's ask this question then. If we'd got a proportion of society that have been programmed to carry out a specific narrative, i.e. 4 years ago they lined up at a centre with the sleeve rolled up ready to take a product, then that would model that kind of behaviour, to use a technical term, vicarious modelling of that would model that behaviour and make the fully integrated organic people follow, would it? So it's kind of like a way of engineering social consciousness by having these beings, the NPCs, that are programmed to carry out specific roles and tasks. So we've got the idea that they were compliant and rushed down to the centres with the sleeve rolled up, for example. And another function of these NPCs is to take energy from the organic ones. You know, we know that we've all been under an attack on our frequency, because frequency is everything. So if you've got a whole host of NPCs that can bring the energy down of social gatherings, bring the energy down of work situations, then they're sort of like doing an inside job, aren't they? You know, I worked in the National Health Service here in England for many years, and you'd be at meetings and you're just about to be ready to sign off some kind of procedure that would be beneficial for mankind, womankind. And then what I now see as an NPC would stand up and put you know, tip the apple cart up, and we're back to square one and it wouldn't get started. So then we'd go round in circles and no one would benefit. That's the sort of role that NPCs do. Another thing that they do is sort of interrupt friendships. You know, there's a bad apple in the box. You must have seen it in certain groups and situations where there's always one that kind of causes the trouble and brings the energy down, chances are that's an NPC. Now, this is very triggering for lots of people to even consider this to be a concept. So if you're triggered by this, I would recommend you either just dismiss it and don't take it on board, or you just try to separate out your own view on it rather than try to argue someone else's opinion, because that's just a waste of energy. But what's really triggering for a lot of people is to comprehend that perhaps some of your family members, some people that are in your close circles, could be NPCs. And another question that I'm asking is, we know at the moment that we've got unbelievable amounts of light and energy codes, and the stars are aligning, the energy codes are coming in right now, and you know, our tolerance for these is just getting greater and greater. Now, I'm going to just suggest that perhaps, and this is a perhaps, some of the excess DEATHS, the excess thingamajigs that I can't say because I don't want to trigger the words, but the people who are leaving the planet at the moment in unbelievable numbers, that they are perhaps the NPCs, because they have fulfilled their program, if you like, and also they are not able to accept the light codes that are coming in on the planet right now. So therefore their frequency no longer matches the frequency of the planet, therefore they're exiting in very large numbers. And you know, we've all experienced losses in our family, all of us. I don't know anyone that's not lost somebody this year. And I'm saying that statement with love, you know. And it's very difficult to hear. I'm not saying that everybody that's exited the planet is an NPC, but I'm just suggesting that the biggest portion of them are NPCs. So why is it then that some of us have not consented to any of this outcome? Some of us can see straight through it, and some of us are totally blinded. Now, it's my comprehension, and this is only my opinion, so, you know, if it doesn't fit with you, dismiss it, but it's my comprehension that the ones with the fully integrated soul have possibly not taken on board all this nonsense, you know, and it's the program ones that are identifying as cats, rolled their sleeves up eagerly, love the government, buy themselves an electric car, for example. It's those that are more likely to be the NPCs. So then I come on to saying, well, how is this done? Well, when you start looking at this, we know that things aren't as they seem, and we know that formerly they had, it's my comprehension, that they had a forced reincarnation. They captured the souls of people when they died, because people don't know how to have a conscious death anymore, because it's not taught us, it's not in our community. When I say a conscious death, I mean we do not fall to sleep at death, we just literally step from one realm to another. If you've been conditioned to fall asleep, then you fall asleep when you take your transition, and then in the past, the bad guys, if you like, have captured the soul essence of those and then forced them to reincarnate, or taken a portion of that DNA and put it in an NPC and programmed it. I know this sounds far-fetched to some people, but this is becoming more and more apparent, and you know, the truth of these matters, as the truth and the light of these matters, is rising by the day. So that's just my take on NPCs. If it's triggering you, let it go, dismiss it, don't save any energy on it. But it's just something to, if you are on this page and you're at the point of consideration, this is just my take on it. And of course, we've all got entitled to our own opinions and views. So anyway, bit of food for thought. Sending you lots of love.